Yes, this is the concluding video on the short story that is Two Deer. In this last but not the least video, let us discuss how to answer 1 mark, 4 marks and 6 marks questions. We have studied extensively about the story of Two Deer written by Leo Tolstoy. Let's see first the 1 mark questions. One mark questions. Answer the following in a word or a phrase or a sentence. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಈ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಪದ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ವಿಗ್ರಹ ವಾಕ್ಯ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ವಾಕ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರವನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಕೇವಲ ಪದದಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಬಹುದಾದಂತಹ ನೀವುಗಳು ವಾಕ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಲು ಹೋಗಿ ಆ ವಾಕ್ಯ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿಲ್ಲದೇನೆ ಅಂಕಗಳನ್ನು ಕಳೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತಹ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ. ಸೊ ಬೆಟರ್ answer in a word. Mention any one of the neighboring kingdoms of Monaco. First question, 1 mark question. I told you that it was situated on the borders of two countries, that is France and Italy. So, ಇವೆರಡರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಒಂದನ್ನ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇಟಾಲಿ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ. Number 2, what is the population of Monaco? 7,000. How many soldiers were there in the kingdom of Monaco? 60 soldiers. 60 is Mention any one of the taxes paid by people in Monaco. Tax on wine, tax on spirit, tax on tobacco, and poll tax. ಈ ನಾಲ್ಕರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದಾದರೂ ಒಂದನ್ನ ಬರೆಯಿರಿ. The special source of revenue for the king of Monaco came from 3 options are given: gaming house, poll tax, taxes on wine and spirit. Gaming house answer. What did people play in the gaming houses? They played ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ಲೇ ಅದು ಏನು ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಇಷ್ಟು ಈ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಬರೀಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ರೋಲೆಟ್, ROULETTE. Who remained with a monopoly of the dirty business of gaming houses in Europe? Answer is Monaco. Anyone who wants to gamble goes to ಜುಜಾಡೋನು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ? ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಎ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್, ಬಿ ಮೊನಾಕೋ, ಸಿ ಇಟಾಲಿ. Monaco. What was the initial punishment given to the criminal by the council? Initial punishment, capital punishment. That is, the head is to be cut off. Which kingdom demanded 16 francs for the supply of guillotine and an executioner? That is France. How much money did the Italian government demand for the supply of guillotine and executioner? 12,000. Which government was a republican and had no proper respect for King of Monaco? That is France. Who, according to the council, was a brother monarch? That is Italy. From where did the guard fetch the food to the criminal? From the royal kitchen, that is palace kitchen. How much did the king spend annually for keeping the criminal in prison? 600 francs. On what condition did the criminal agree to go away from the prison? That pension should be given regularly. What is the sum fixed as pension for the criminal? That is 600 francs. How much did the criminal receive in advance while leaving the prison? 1/3 of his annuity. 1/3. What did the criminal buy after settling across the frontier of Monaco? A piece of land. When the guard was dismissed, the criminal in Two Deer was happy and tried to run away. Option A. Option B. worried about the god's family, did not show any sign of running away. C, that is the last. C, that is the answer. So you must know. Now let us understand the 4 marks questions. First of all, describe the kingdom of Monaco. Describe the kingdom of Monaco. ಮೊನಾಕೋ ರಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನ ವರ್ಣಿಸಿ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. So what you have to write? I told you that for every question you have to give some introduction. Briefly describe the kingdom of Monaco. So this is the answer. The story of two deer begins with the description of Monaco kingdom. It was a small kingdom with the small population of about 7,000. If the land was to be shared, each would get hardly an acre. As in other countries, it too had a king, a palace, ministers, army, etc. And there is a small army, only 60 men in all. And there were also taxes in this kingdom, a tax on tobacco, on wine and spirits, and a poll tax too. The special revenue comes from a gaming house where people play roulette. This you have to write, and you will be given 4 marks. Why did the authorities fail to punish the criminal, and how the criminal takes advantage of the procedural lapses? So you should write. This may be asked for 6 marks also. The king and his ministers expected the criminal to run away from the prison when they dismissed the guard, but that did not happen. The surprised ministers questioned the criminal why he did not run away. The criminal said that he had no place to go and complained that they had ruined his character by their sentence. People would turn their backs on him, so he could not expect any kind of help from them. He also had lost the habit of working. He argued that they had treated him badly, which was not fair, because firstly, they sentenced him to death, but they did not execute him. The criminal did not complain about that. Then they sentenced him to imprisonment for life and appointed a guard to bring him his food. Later, they dismissed the guard and criminal had to fetch his food himself. Yet, he did not complain. Now, they wanted him to go away, but the criminal refused to do so. Finally, the criminal stated that they might do whatever they liked, but you would not go away. For this answer, a question may be asked. Why did the criminal refuse to go out of the prison? So you have to write this answer. Yes, next question. How did the criminal lead his life after his release from the prison? The short story Two Deer presents the case of an offender. It satirizes how the king and the ministers take the impractical measures to punish the criminal and how the criminal takes advantage of the procedural lapses. So you have to write these sentences. The criminal did not agree to leave the prison, so they offered 600 francs as yearly pension to get rid of him. Thus, they settled the matter. Receiving 1/3 of his annuity in advance, the criminal left the kingdom, emigrated, and settled across the frontier, where he bought a bit of land. He started market gardening and lived comfortably. He would always go at proper time to try his pension. After receiving his pension, he would go to the gambling tables to try his luck. He would bet 2 or 3 francs. Sometimes he won and sometimes he lost. Then he would return home. Thus, he lived comfortably and happily. That should be the answer. And the last and very important question, which may be asked for 6 marks, is that why did the king keep on changing the decision? ಯಾಕೆ ತನ್ನ ನಿರ್ಧಾರವನ್ನು ಬದಲಾಯಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ ಮೊನಾಕೋ ರಾಜ? ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ 6 ಅಂಕಗಳ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನು ನೀವು ಎದುರಿಸ್ತೀರಿ. For that you have to write the story Two Deer is written by a Russian well-known writer, that is Leo Tolstoy. Here in this lesson, we see that it satirizes vidambaneyanna ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ, how the king and the ministers take the impractical measures to punish the criminal, and how the criminal takes advantage of the procedural lapses. For that, you have to write from the beginning where a murder was committed. A murder was committed in a country where there were peace-loving people, and the criminal was caught. He was tried in the court, and he was sentenced capital punishment. And it was ordered that his head should be cut off. But the problem is, the hitch is, there was neither a guillotine nor an executioner. So they wrote a letter to the government of France requesting it to send executioner and a guillotine. Of course, they agreed. They agreed to send, but they demanded 16,000 francs. And the king thought that the man is not worth of such amount. It is too expensive. So then they wrote a letter to the king of Italy requesting the same. The king of Italy too agreed, but it demanded 12,000. The king was not happy with this, because he thought that if such amount is to be spent, at least 2 francs has to be taxed on each individual, and this would cause a riot. ಜನ ದಂಗೆ ಎದ್ದೇಳಬಹುದು, ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬನ ಮೇಲೆ 2 ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ಗಳನ್ನ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಇದಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. It's not possible. So he asked his ministers to try whether any soldier could do that. So a general was summoned, and he was asked if anybody could do that. And the soldiers said, yes, we have been trying to kill the enemies in the war, but we have not been taught to cut off the head of the criminal. Then this forced the ministers and the king to alter the sentence. The sentence was altered from capital punishment to lifelong imprisonment. So it was decided to keep him in a prison. But another hitch was that there was no proper prison to keep him. However, they managed to find a place where he was placed, and a guard was appointed to look after him and to fetch him food from the royal kitchen. Of course. So 1 year passed, then he was looking into the account, revenue and expenditure, and he was surprised to see that 600 francs was incurred on the maintenance of this criminal. And he thought that it was too much. So he thought of finding out an easy method, a cheaper way, and he summoned the meeting of the ministers, and they discussed, and one of them suggested that the guard should be dismissed. And when the guard is dismissed, automatically, seeing that there is no guard, the criminal would run away. Hence, the guard was dismissed, but there was no sign of going out. The criminal didn't show any sign of going out of the prison, and then the Minister of Justice summoned him, and he got him before him, and then he questioned why he had not run away when the guard is dismissed, and even the king has consented. But he said, no, I am not interested to go out of this prison. So he gave certain reasons. You have spoiled the character, and I have forgotten my work. And even if I go out, and you have spoiled my character, and people will turn their backs, and they will not be friendly. And you sentence me death sentence. You give me a death sentence, but you did not execute it, and I didn't comply. Then you appointed a guard, then you dismissed. Even at that time, I did not comply. So he presented certain reasons and said, at any cost, whatever you may do anything, but I will not go, he said. Lastly, it was inevitable to see that he is sent out to get rid of this criminal. So they decided to offer him pension. The criminal agreed on a condition that the pension should be given regularly. So he was given pension and the case was settled. And this is how the king keeps on changing the decisions that you should write. Thank you.